If intelligence were loud, chaotic, and eager to be seen, the world would already belong to geniuses. But true intelligence moves differently. It is quiet, controlled, almost invisible. And most people never recognize it, especially in themselves. What if the very traits you've been questioning, the habits that made you feel out of place, are actually signs of a highly intelligent mind? Not the kind measured by tests or applause, but the kind that endures pressure, masters emotion, and outlasts chaos. These are 4 signs of deep intelligence, revealed not by status, but by behavior. And if we recognize them within ourselves, we are called to something higher: self-control, fortitude, and inner mastery. Sign 1. You think before you react, even when emotion demands speed. There is a quiet intelligence that does not announce itself with clever words or quick opinions. It reveals itself in restraint. If you often feel the surge of emotion rise within you, anger, excitement, fear, pride, but choose not to obey it immediately, this is not weakness. This is one of the clearest signs of a highly intelligent mind. Most people live at the mercy of their first impulse. A comment triggers them, a look offends them, a delay frustrates them. Reaction becomes identity, but we, those who are sharpening the inner blade, sense something different. We feel the emotion fully, yet we create a pause between stimulus and response. In that pause, intelligence lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind has the power to remove all disturbance and to possess itself. This is not poetic exaggeration, it is a description of mental mastery. Intelligence at its highest level is not about collecting information, it is about governing oneself under pressure. When you delay reaction, you are doing something rare. You are observing your own mind as if from above. You ask, is this feeling useful? Is this judgment necessary? Will this reaction serve what we are becoming, or only what we feel right now? That moment of questioning is proof of depth. Psychologically, this aligns with what modern researchers call emotional regulation, a trait strongly correlated with high cognitive ability and long-term success. But long before laboratories measured it, ancient thinkers understood it intuitively. Epictetus warned that people are disturbed not by events, but by their judgments about events. Intelligence begins the moment we challenge those judgments. This is why we often appear calm when others are chaotic, not because we feel less, but because we refuse to be ruled by what we feel. We do not suppress emotion, we subordinate it. Anger becomes information, not command. Desire becomes signal, not master. Fear becomes advisor, not dictator. There is also a cost to this intelligence. We are often misunderstood. Silence is mistaken for weakness. Thoughtfulness is mistaken for indifference. While others perform emotion loudly, we choose control quietly. Yet this silence is strategic. Seneca observed that the greatest power is the ability to remain unprovoked. When we don't react, we see more clearly. We notice patterns others miss. We read intentions beneath words. We recognize that most conflicts are traps, designed to pull us down to a level where reason cannot survive, and we decline the invitation. This discipline builds an inner gravity. People feel it before they understand it. They sense that we are not easily shaken, not easily manipulated. That stability is attractive. More importantly, it is liberating. We are no longer prisoners of every mood that passes through us. Sign 2. You are comfortable standing alone, even when it costs you approval. There is a particular kind of intelligence that reveals itself not in crowds but in solitude. If you have ever found yourself choosing the harder, lonelier path, thinking differently, acting independently, refusing to echo the noise, this is not social failure. This is a mark of a highly intelligent mind. Most people are guided by an invisible force, the need to belong. Opinions are borrowed, values are inherited without examination, and beliefs are defended not because they are true, but because they are shared. We, however, feel a quiet resistance to this pull, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that it is better to stand firm in what is right than to be swept along by what is popular. Intelligence begins where conformity ends. When you can tolerate being misunderstood, you gain access to something most never touch: independent judgment. This is why we are often comfortable in our own company. Silence does not frighten us. We do not need constant validation to confirm our worth. While others rush to fill every moment with distraction or approval, we use stillness as a workshop. In that space, thoughts sharpen, values solidify, direction emerges. Modern psychology would describe this as low social dependency, a trait associated with higher analytical thinking and emotional maturity. But centuries ago, Seneca warned that to be everywhere is to be nowhere. A scattered mind cannot be intelligent. A grounded one can. Standing alone does not mean rejecting others. It means refusing to outsource our thinking. When a group is outraged, we pause. When a trend promises meaning, we question. When a crowd demands reaction, we choose reflection. This makes us inconvenient, sometimes even threatening, but intelligence has never been comfortable to witness. There is an emotional discipline required here. Walking alone exposes us to doubt, to second-guessing, to the temptation of surrendering our principles just to feel included. Yet, we endure it. Epictetus taught that if we wish to improve, we must accept appearing foolish in the eyes of those who misunderstand what matters. This endurance builds something powerful: inner authority. When you do not need agreement to proceed, you move freely. You are not pulled off course by gossip, trends, or fear of rejection. You become internally aligned. And alignment is magnetic. People sense this. They may not like it, but they respect it. A person who cannot be easily swayed cannot be easily controlled, and control is what the world unconsciously seeks over those who think deeply. We also notice something else as time passes. Solitude refines us. Away from noise, destructive emotions lose their grip. Envy fades, comparison weakens, anger dissolves faster. In their place grows a calm confidence rooted not in applause but in self-trust. Sign 3. You feel deeply, but you rarely let emotions control you. There is a common misunderstanding about intelligence. Many believe it means being cold, detached, or emotionally distant. In truth, one of the clearest signs of a highly intelligent mind is the opposite. You feel deeply, but you do not obey every feeling. If you recognize strong emotions rising within you, anger, sadness, desire, frustration, yet you pause before acting, this is not emotional weakness. This is advanced inner discipline, and it is rare. Most people are ruled by their emotional weather. When anger arrives, they explode. When fear appears, they retreat. When desire whispers, they surrender. Their lives become reactions. But we sense something dangerous in this pattern. We understand, often instinctively, that emotions are information, not commands. Epictetus spoke clearly on this when he taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Intelligence lives in that small space between stimulus and response. If you consistently inhabit that space, you are already operating on a higher level. This does not mean we suppress emotions. Suppression creates pressure. Pressure eventually breaks. Instead, we observe. We sit with discomfort. We allow the feeling to pass through us without letting it hijack our character. This requires patience, restraint, and self-respect, qualities far more complex than emotional impulsivity. Modern psychology refers to this as emotional regulation, a trait strongly correlated with high cognitive function and long-term success. But long before laboratories measured it, Marcus Aurelius practiced it in the chaos of empire. He felt grief, betrayal, exhaustion, yet he refused to let these emotions define his actions. His strength was not emotional absence, but emotional mastery. We often notice this trait in moments of conflict. While others escalate, we lower our voice. While others seek to win arguments, we seek to understand reality. While others dramatize pain, we refine it into insight. This can make us appear distant or unreadable, but what is really happening is control. There is also a quiet courage in this way of being. It is far easier to react than to restrain, far easier to blame than to reflect, far easier to vent than to transform emotion into wisdom. Every time we choose restraint, we are choosing long-term strength over short-term relief. This is why destructive emotions gradually lose their power over us. Rage burns itself out when it finds no fuel. Envy fades when we stop comparing. Fear weakens when we face it without theatrics. Over time, what remains is a calm intensity, a steady presence others feel but cannot easily explain. Seneca warned that a person who is a slave to their emotions is never truly free. Intelligence, then, is not about thinking faster. It is about being harder to disturb. When chaos enters the room and you remain centered, you are demonstrating a form of mental superiority that cannot be faked. People often mistake this calm for indifference. It is not. It is respect for yourself, for reality, and for consequences. You understand that one uncontrolled moment can undo years of discipline. So you choose silence, you choose patience, you choose composure, and this choice changes everything. Sign 4. You are comfortable standing alone, even when it costs you. One of the quietest but most revealing signs of high intelligence is this. You are willing to stand alone when your values demand it. Not out of arrogance, not out of rebellion, but out of an unshakable commitment to inner alignment. Most people fear isolation more than dishonor. They adjust their beliefs to fit the room. They borrow opinions to avoid friction. They trade truth for belonging. But we feel a deep resistance to this kind of self-betrayal. Something inside us refuses to bend simply to be accepted. This is not stubbornness, it is clarity. Highly intelligent minds understand a hard truth early in life. Crowds are often driven by emotion, not reason. The majority seeks comfort, not correctness. And when we see this clearly, conformity becomes less tempting, even when it promises safety. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that it is better to live in harmony with nature than in agreement with the crowd. He governed an empire, yet constantly prepared himself to be misunderstood. This ability to tolerate disapproval without losing direction is not common, it is cultivated. We experience this in subtle ways. We walk away from conversations that feel shallow or dishonest. We refuse to laugh at what we find empty. We decline opportunities that would compromise our integrity, even when they come with applause. Each time we choose alignment over approval. Psychology describes this as internal locus of evaluation. The ability to measure yourself by internal standards rather than external validation. Research consistently links this trait to high cognitive complexity and emotional resilience. But long before it was studied, it was practiced by thinkers who understood that freedom begins where dependence on opinion ends. Standing alone also demands emotional control. Loneliness can whisper doubts. Silence can feel heavy. But instead of fleeing these sensations, we endure them. We learn to sit with ourselves without distraction. Over time, solitude becomes not a punishment, but a sharpening stone. Seneca warned that he who lives for the approval of others will never live for himself. Intelligence recognizes this danger and steps away before it becomes a prison. We would rather be temporarily misunderstood than permanently misaligned. This does not mean we reject people. It means we reject falsehood. When connection requires the erosion of self-respect, we choose distance, and in doing so, we gain something far more valuable than popularity: coherence. There is a quiet authority that develops here. People sense it. They may not agree with us, but they feel the weight of someone who cannot be easily swayed. This presence is not loud, it does not seek attention, but it is unmistakable. In a world addicted to approval, the ability to stand alone is rare. If you possess it, you are not lacking something, you are protecting something. And that protection is a sign of a mind that sees further than most. Get exclusive content and deeper insights. Join our membership today. Link in the description.